Jaws have played fine, but it's more the mentality of the team. Like, how is this happening to us?
Let's make the rest of this year a success. I'm down bad thinking about it.
Welcome to Reverse Sweep's Power Rankings, presented by USA Insurance. Every week, Enable and Pacman put together their rankings for how they think these 12 teams in CDL should fall. Now, these ones will be based off of the major, what we've seen thus far, and let's take a look quickly at some of those results. How did they come to these conclusions? Well, you did end up having Dallas and FaZe in that grand final. OpTic gets 4th once again. Seattle, they won not one, but 2 series. Huge from them, but London, the likes of Paris, duds out in losers round 1. And let's take a look at how the major bracket played out from now. FaZe and Ultra, they did do well effectively. Ultra, yeah, you know, they come in 3rd. They did a great job so far. But the bracket, look at how it played out, guys. I mean, I think Rocker, one of my biggest surprises was Rocker 3-0ing Subliners, Empire 3-2ing Ultra in that losers final to get them to where they are. And that leads us into our power rankings. Let's pull those up. Now take a look at what Pacman and Enable decided on. Enable, you're thinking. So I'll let you take over because you have Ravens down 3 in 12th.
We got to give respect to LAG. They got a series.
They got a dub.
They got a series, so that's why London, I'll tell you, I was looking at Afro and Paul X going into the major just because I'm pretty sure neither of them have competed on LAN, or even if they have.
Small sample size.
Yeah, not in a professional, level. And they played pretty well, but it was Shawnee and Alex, the 2 players who have had experience that just kind of let me down. And I feel like all of their progress was just wiped away from this major, I really do. So that's why they're somehow worse than LAG.
Yeah, I mean,
somehow being the key word there.
They honestly should have kept Zed. Ever since they
Zed was
lost
good.
Zed, I feel like their teamwork took a step back. And I know Alex is supposed to be like one of the premier talents.
He was great last year.
But he's taken most of this game off for whatever reasons it may be. But the team hasn't looked the same. And Afro actually came in and played pretty well. Paul X should be a pro player. He's good.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good. So it just, I don't know, their teamwork just wasn't there, and they also don't have the individual talent that some of the other teams have. So, I mean, right now they're looking the worst.
It's what it is.
Yeah, unfortunately there's not always a ton to say about these bottom teams. So let's go to another bottom team, Gorillas. They are up 1 spot. You are no longer in 12th, and you won a series.
+1 because they won a series.
They beat.
Can't give them no more.
Yeah, they beat LAT, but we all know how that happened. And also, their hardpoint is just horrendous. Like, they get absolutely chokeslammed in every single hardpoint map. And I know they ended up beating LAT, but had LAT played with their actual team or with some practice, even with this 4,
yeah,
I'm sure they would have beat them. It just, LAT doesn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
Ranch style.
There you go. Ian hit you with all
the
types.
Garage. Wait, did they upgrade them from the Garage back to the Ranch style?
No.
They're probably in a hut at this point, or like not even a garage. You can't ever win if you have to do 2 S&Ds and a control, like steal a control. Mm-hmm. If your hardpoint's that bad, you're just never gonna be a good team. And that's where they're at. They're just, don't even get me started. They need to make a team change. We all know that.
I'm
giving up saying it because
I'm giving up with that. That's why it's almost to the point where it's like, okay, even when they beat LAT, I wasn't actually shocked by that win because LAG has played some teams close. They have teamwork.
Once upon a time, they did beat FaZe.
Yeah, exactly. They have that, but it's not. But it's never going to be consistent. They're never like the fact that the Surge pulled off 2 wins in a row. I can see that.
Yeah.
Right? But LAG's
they win 1, they're losing the next 3.
Yeah.
Like it's. But they won a series.
But they did win a series. They're not our worst team.
Well, and that team that they beat, sitting above them in 10th, LA Thieves. Well, they didn't move, and probably for obvious reasons, Pacman.
I mean, I'm going to leave them where they were because, first of all, 10th is horrific. So let's start with that. With the players that they have.
They might as well be the worst.
Yeah, the spots they have, for them, that's the worst. But they didn't play with their full team. They didn't really have any time with the roster that they're going forward with, assuming they're still going forward with it after what happened. I don't know. But assuming that we just have to give them more time to see if they actually put it together. Even if these 4 players play their worst together, they should still be 10.
Yeah. No, I said this the other day, like, it sucks because they've obviously had a really bad year.
Yeah.
Like a really bad, they can't get anything going. And you could almost use this LAN as like a silver lining throughout the year for them. It was like, hey, we can turn it around.
Right.
It's LAN, let's make the rest of this year a success. And then Kyler can't even play. So then you have to play with someone who you just benched, so it's just unfortunate series of events for them.
What did you guys think of Slasher?
He played good.
He played well, yeah. It's more like
It's hard though. He played LAG in one series. Like,
Yeah.
That's just like the brief blip we've seen of Slasher since he
Yeah,
got benched.
that's-
So
I feel like I didn't even get to watch. Like I
No, we
thought
did.
they
We
were
did.
gonna beat Gorillas and just give them more game series so I could see how good they are, and they couldn't even give me that.
Couldn't even give you 2
I'm down bad thinking about it. Okay.
not even a crumb.
didn't give you
couldn't
any
even give me
time.
6 maps.
And it's like, and Draza played fine, but it's more the
Draza-
mentality of the team. Like, how is this happening to us after this year?
like again.
Yeah,
like
A series of unfortunate events, to be sure. And a reminder, guys, Reverse Sweep is presented by USAA Insurance. They make it easy to insure all of your stuff, like your rigs and gear, and they have your back. Eligibility restrictions apply. Insurance provided by United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas. Now, not to beat Thieves down too much, let's talk about Paris, who got beat down 2 places into 9th. Well, Paris, you kind of went out with a whimper, so maybe expect it.
they're I feel like they're a team that had potential going into this LAN. I was looking for them to show up and give us something, and they just didn't. They didn't look good at all. I always put my confidence in Paris, and they let me down.
Every single
The only
time.
team that doesn't let me down in this damn league is FaZe. Like every team I predict is going to win when I want to be a fan, I'm just the worst fan ever
I'm
because they
finally
always
can
lose.
get into them. That's what happened with New York, and they got smoked that one major.
Exactly.
Yeah, Paris, they just fell flat. They just fell so flat. And it sucks because they were the best looking of the bottom teams.
I thought they were
they were
putting it
showing
together.
us stuff. They were consistently competing. And then not only did they lose, they got 3-0'd and they just did not play well. Like they just didn't do
Got
it.
3-0
and
by
it just-
Octane.
Yeah, bad.
Well, and speaking of Octane, let's highlight our CDL Power Rankings biggest mover presented by Control Freak. The very own Seattle Surge with Octane at the helm. They won not 0, not 1, but 2 series.
That's huge.
And they won 5 controls straight after losing 10 in a row. So, hey, we saw a blip of life. Octane
Finally.
smiled. He looked happy.
He did. That's
He
the
looked
best-
real happy for somebody getting top 8.
You know,
Like,
at one point,
But
I
it's not
was
that.
thinking that, but I was like, am I just so negative? I was thinking that, like, since when is he so happy about getting 8th?
Yeah,
But I gotta understand. He's been
after being
the struggles for 2 years have been real. And then not only did he come out and they win 2 matches, he himself showed that he still is Octane. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He's still gross. Everyone's like, all right, well, he's absolutely destroying these 2 teams.
I have to give him love because I've been criticizing him this year because I know how talented he is, but he definitely just wasn't Octane. But he looked fantastic. I mean, I know the first 2 series he had a 1.7 and then like a 1.5. And he just looked like no one could touch him on the map in gunfights.
Well, he looked like he cared, too.
He did look like he was having more fun. The passion was there. Now, I'm not really surprised that they won those 2 series. Because I saw him tweet about, though, he has to watch LAN from home. He wished he could be on LAN. I don't think it was online to LAN. They should have beat those teams. They just beat OpTic in the prior week. But I think maybe they're finally starting to be able to close out games. It's just,
Unless
unfortunately,
it was
maybe a
that
little
map
bit.
5
that
against
belief-
OpTic. And
Well,
they
yeah, I say that in the
was
joke,
tough.
but
If they can carry on that ability to close games to online and not let online be the reason
I
they're
think
not
it's
closing.
just the mental,
Yeah.
because you're in your
Are
room
you going to
by
check
yourself.
back out now that
Yes.
you're home?
And I mean, they shouldn't. You're professional players, and like you said, they beat OpTic right before they came. If they can do that, I don't know, then maybe they'll make noise next major. I'm not sure if they have even a chance to make it to champs, but who knows? I mean, I assume that if you win a tournament or get in the finals, you gotta
I think
be up
they'd
there.
have to
I
get
think they
there,
have
though,
to they have to win.
which they won't. So.
No, they won't because FaZe exists. But
hey, Sam
but
looked great
still,
though.
but they
Sam
still,
and
but
Sam
they
look
look
great.
great.
That's a
Sam
huge
looked
move.
good.
That's a huge move up. That's a huge move up. And Lance Surge is up there. Lance Surge is balling.
Yeah, hey, number 8. You're not 12, you know?
Yeah.
You'll take an 8.
Go. All right, let's talk about Florida. They moved down 1 position into 7th. Pacman, I want you to start on this because I think you actually summed it up beforehand pretty well, what you think about what Florida did.
Yeah, because to me, they were a complete dud, right? This is a team that was trending up. They're a team that was close to making the winners. They're a team that, I mean, all we do is talk about how great their ARs are and how Neptune's on the come up, and he actually played fine. But the team itself took a huge step back to me, losing to subliners without Asim, was a very vocal player, one of the starters for a top team. You have to beat them. Like Rocker did not even play well this weekend.
Yeah.
But they still beat New York. Like you have to beat a team. You're playing top level competition. If you're not gonna beat that team with the fill-in, how do you ever think you're gonna be a contender to actually win a tournament in this league with how difficult it is? You have to be able to beat those teams, and they fell flat. And to me, that's scary because they can go back online and win again. But no matter what, in the back of their head, you're gonna be like, oh, well, on land, can we do this? Because you already lost to a not full team. It's just tough.
I mean, they were underwhelming besides Neptune for me. And I think the biggest thing, like you said, is yes, they looked really good online coming into this event, and they could still improve, but you need to win against a team that has a sub in. Like that is just a must-win series for your mentality, especially because Asim is a star player, and he's probably NYSL's most impactful player. Like, no disrespect to NYSL, because even without...
No, I would agree with that, though. Asim was a huge blow not to have there.
Like, even without him, they're still a very good core 3.
Yeah.
But still, whenever you don't have another star player on your team, it's not going to be the same. And Florida just came out flat. They didn't take advantage to where they could have made a run if they played if they played well this weekend.
That's what I was expecting of them. Like, you have a match like this. Subliners, obviously, they still have those talented players. You're still going against Hydra. You still have to beat these guys. So it can still give you that momentum that's to spring you forward. But then to just fall flat like that without ever even...
Yeah, I mean, different...
We never saw... Like, the win against
different play
LAG,
style, like different level of play. They don't have any practice, any reps with Decimate.
Yeah.
Like, you have to take advantage of that, and they just couldn't.
So I want to touch very, very quickly on Neptune, though. He really has seen a big improvement. And Enable, you've talked in the past about what you thought Neptune was missing. So what do you think has helped him kind of have such a swing upward in his gameplay?
I think just getting more reps. I don't talk to him. I don't know him personally, but I'm sure that he is friends with other COD pros in the league, and maybe just getting tips from them or advice, or it could just be a comfortability thing. Like I said, switching from Halo to Call of Duty, you have to rewire your brain.
Yeah,
John, I know you could agree.
I did both ways.
He wasn't great at both, but
that was fantastic, actually.
But so maybe he's just getting comfortable and starting to really enjoy it. But he looked great. Like Neptune, I said in the beginning of this year that he was going to be my Rookie of the Year. And he was really letting me down, but he's kicking up as of late.
Probably the most improved player individually throughout the entire season.
Well, it feels like he's making smarter plays too, not just.
He has the talent, He's just putting it together, not running around trying to like slide cancel, camera to corner, So hopefully he can keep improving. But Florida let him down. They let him down this weekend.
Those S&Ds, please. Let's talk about Rocker. Rocker went up 2 places into 6th. I don't think we've seen them up there in a little bit. Minnesota. Pacman, what do you think about them? How do you feel about their performance? What they showed us to move them up 2 places?
Realistically, I think they benefited from the fact that we just had to bump Florida down from their poor performance. They did beat the subliners, and they beat them pretty easily too. So that also makes me bump them up because it's like, all right, they took care of business the way you're supposed to against a team with a fill-in. Was I overly enthused about their win? No, but the fact that they did it so smoothly and it was relatively easy, I was like, okay, this is a good team. This is a solid team, and that's what you expect of the Rocker. I still think they have a lot of room for improvement, clearly, because FaZe speedran them and then OpTic beat them.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
I think though the biggest thing is compared to some of the compared to Florida, Surge, Paris, they have the most or the highest floor. I know Rocker will consistently be around that area. You know, like they might not have those crazy series, but they're gonna beat the teams they're supposed to beat that,
beat
you know,
them,
in front of them. Now, if they go up against another top team, they might get body bagged. But that's why they're at 6. You know, they're good, they're just not great.
Yeah, they're not, to me, they're not a real contender to win, but they're also able to beat all the teams pretty much outside of FaZe and Ultra, I'd say. They can still beat those teams.
All right, well, it's time to talk about OpTic, once again getting 4th at the major, and you guys have moved them down to 5th in the power rankings. So Enable, OpTic, what you saw from them, why are they going down 1?
Honestly, they just can't beat the best teams. Like, they're a good team. They can take all the bad teams, but when they play the FaZes, the Torontos, I guess even the Empires now, they just crumble.
Yeah, I mean, they're simply not as good as the other teams. Like, I guess it's an easy thing to say when you're talking about power rankings, but they're not. They're just like, they're actually not competitive versus them.
There's
They're
definitely
actually so much. There's levels.
There's
to
a
it,
gap, yeah.
And OpTic's now below it, and it sucks because before there were 3 contenders, 3 title contenders: FaZe, Ultra, and Subliners. Those were the 3 contenders. But now, obviously, Empire is a contender. That just bumps OpTic's stock down so much further, and that gives it just another team where they have to get over probably just a mental hurdle because they have the ability. They have players equal to or better than players on all those teams pretty much. And it's just, it just doesn't work. They don't mesh right. Their pacing's off. I mean, it's a struggle. And they're at the point now where even some of the lesser teams, Surge, are starting to slowly catch up to their level just by simply having better teamwork.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the top 4 teams, maybe besides FaZe, I feel like any of them can win against each other like at any given time. But then when you look at OpTic, I'm just like, I don't know if OpTic can beat any of these top 4 like consistently.
Right.
Like they might be able to take them the distance. It could be competitive and they might get a series, but not enough to be in the finals. Like they're not going to get through more than one of these teams.
If they have a tough road, there's no chance they get through. You know what I mean? It's already hard to get through a tough road as is, but OpTic, I'm giving you actually no chance to get through a road where you have to play even 2 of the teams. Yeah. Imagine if they had to play 3 of the contending teams. It's just not gonna happen. It's just tough. So.
Smoke.
Well, we have OpTic down 1. We also have New York down 1, and probably the most obvious move on the rankings. And it makes me sad too, because the amount of what ifs you could create from New York having a seam, but they did not. So he has been moved down to 4th.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna fault them for anything that happened in the major, but I mean, the major still went on. Life still goes on, and I mean, obviously you guys saw it. Empire was super close to winning, so we have to give them love. And obviously New York's a team that could easily fight their way back up these power rankings.
Yeah, I mean, I think even though you couldn't see the full NYSL squad, when you look, Empire got 2nd in this major, went to the last map, but also they should have beat New York in the groups. Well, even if you don't want to say should, it was a very close series. So I think with all of the info, like, it's only fair to move Empire up. But I think it's very close, that Empire, NYSL. Even Toronto, I think all 3 of those teams could bounce around depending on the week.
When I think, honestly, if it was good for anyone, it was probably good for OpTic, because I don't think OpTic gets 4th if subliners have a seam.
I would agree.
It definitely benefits their overall placing. I mean, the players have such great history that 4th isn't great. Like, that's why you saw Seth tweeting the way he did. But in terms of them, that's got to not help OpTic's mental, even though they got 4th.
No, I don't think it makes them, it's not something that's going to make them feel better. But Dallas, they should feel great because they moved up 2 places to 3rd in the power rankings. Why? They went map 9, the first map 9 we've seen in a grand final against Atlanta FaZe, and they took out Toronto. They had a beautiful semifinal to losers run. Take it away, Enable.
They looked fantastic, Katie. I'll be honest, I was saying that they were not a good team. Even with Vivid, like, they just didn't look like they had the talent, Crim wasn't playing. No one was playing good besides Shotzi. But then they go to this major. They start in winner's bracket. I was surprised when they bodied OpTic, and they made a run. Like they showed that they can easily be a contender moving forward. I thought Crim played great. I thought Vivid played great. I mean, honestly, all of them played really good. And it seems like maybe they're finally starting to be on the same page. And when that's the case, everything gets easier, you know? So if they keep improving, it'd be great for the scene just having another team that could, you know, potentially win.
Well, and have Dallas back to what we saw so much of from them in the first year.
They actually made it competitive versus FaZe.
At the start of the season, yeah, they got second, same thing. But they did get bodied by FaZe, and a lot of it at the time actually relied on who just being the best player on the stage.
Yeah.
He was going crazy. So their teamwork wasn't really there. It was just early stages of the game, and Kyler's individual ability was propelling them past other teams. Now, all these teams have tons of talent, and the teamwork's there, and here they are right back at the final and almost actually winning. They do look a lot better. The only surprising thing to me, I actually predicted them to beat Ultra in that round 2 match, and that was super close. But the surprising thing to me was how badly they beat OpTic that first time. Like that wasn't even
it wasn't close.
It was.
That was bad, and it's like they just were way better than them.
I think that was a great confidence boost for Crim and Empire for the rest of the major.
I agree.
For sure. Like you know that they wanted to win that series. When they did it like that, they were like, oh, okay, we might be back.
Our improvement is real, because oftentimes too you don't even know if your online improvement is real.
Oh yeah, sense. You have to to be there on LAN and
but then
see.
When you see it on LAN, you're like, oh yeah. Now
Crim must have been feeling himself because he looked like old Crimsix.
Yeah, Crim was challenging everything. I don't think I've ever seen anyone challenge as recklessly as him. But I'm
flying out of windows.
He's old. He's been doing. You know what I'm saying? He don't care.
He doesn't care. Like, what's the worst that can happen? I'm gonna die. And I'll spawn back up.
I'm Crimsix. Yeah, I'm Crimsix.
He was challenging everything, and he's looking good doing it.
So the top two, we usually cluster them together because, well, they have not moved in a very long time. FaZe and Toronto Ultra. Let's start with Ultra. A lot of people always say, why didn't you put Dallas as second? Why is Toronto? They got third again. So Pacman, Toronto, why are they still second place?
There's a consistency factor to all of these power rankings. That's why we always say it, like Ian said, like, even if they lost that, we're not gonna move them from first. That doesn't make sense. It's the same thing with Toronto. So yeah, they got third place, but they're also a kill away from getting second place. They beat Dallas in the previous one. So overall, they lost to Dallas by 1 total round of search and destroy.
Yeah.
You don't get moved for that because you've been so consistent now for what, 3 stages? They've
first, third.
Yeah, first, third, and it's also been super close. They've 3-0'd their way through the groups. There's so much history behind Toronto. I feel like it would be disrespectful to move them from second place. They're clearly up there.
Empire has to do more.
Empire just has to do more. That's at the end of the day. It's one day where a team was better than you and barely, as opposed to a larger body of work.
I mean, they've just looked better the whole year. They have the stats to back it up, especially as of late. And I mean, they got reverse swept by Empire. Probably should have been in the finals. Obviously, Empire probably should have beat them in the winners round
match,
2.
Yeah.
But like, it's just so close. So maybe if Empire dominated Toronto, like, you know, like 3-0, 3-0 or something, then I would be comfortable with getting that number 2. But, I mean,
the way it happened is essentially a tie.
Yeah, you can't do it.
And FaZe, I don't know how much there is to say. They're really good.
The best.
Really fucking good.
Around.
They're the best. Like either, what was it, winners round 2 match versus Rocker wasn't close. Like that's, especially in today's times, winners round 2 match is supposed to, it's usually a banger. Like the Dallas Empire Toronto one. That was not competitive. No, the control against Toronto was close.
Yeah.
Could have argued they could have lost that, but
no, they 100% could have. They absolutely could have.
They should have lost that, but then they took care of business game 4. You can't mess up versus them. That's what I'll say. Like you cannot give up your advantages. You have to. If you're up in a situation, you have to win it. You have they don't give you too much.
Yeah, they're like playing the final boss on expert mode.
Yeah,
like, it's as simple as that. If you mess up, you're gonna lose.
Well, there you go. As always, for our power rankings, this is what Enable and Pacman think is the best fit for the 12 teams in CDL. Let us know in the comments what you think and if there's anything you don't agree with. But until now, we'll look forward to stage 5 to see how these power rankings continue to shuffle.